A medical marijuana dispensary is shut down in Miami for operating without a license. I'm Zach Dodge with the story.
President Biden is pledging the federal government's full support to crews here in South Florida. I'm Madla Rivera in Surfside with more on why officials stopped search efforts.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abbey. Joplin police say a woman was dragged by a suspect in a vehicle after being robbed. Robbery happened this afternoon near Messenger Towers at 2nd and Main, and the woman was dragged by the vehicle all the way to 4th and Main. Police say the suspect is still on the loose, traveling in a darker colored sedan. The victim was taken to the hospital and is, at last report, listed in stable condition. Authorities shut down a medical marijuana facility in Miami, Oklahoma, seizing tens of thousands of dollars worth of product. State and local authorities say the issue stems from the key thing that makes marijuana sales legal in the state: a license. KOAM Zach Dodge has details.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars in marijuana product sits in boxes awaiting its fate.
Minus a license, you're just distributing drugs.
Everything from gummies and infused drinks to bud and full plants, seized in a shutdown at a facility in Miami.
I would guess $150,000 to $200,000 worth of inventory was seized from the property. It's got security cameras, 3 layers of locks. So yeah, it's definitely in as safe as environment as I can provide for it.
The Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority says a marijuana facility in Miami was recently purchased and the name changed to Underground Dispensary. Since going under new ownership, they say it was operating as a dispensary, processor, and grower, all without state licenses.
OMMA gave them a cease and desist order effective the 23rd of June. They failed to comply with that and continue to do business.
And licenses don't just make it legal to operate. It's also assigned to patients that products have been tested and are safe. The OMMA says they'll be testing products sold at the facility, but currently there's not any indications that the products were unsafe. Up in the air right now, what happens with those products and the fate of the owners.
Without that medical marijuana license and that legal paperwork through the state, you're just an illegal drug dealer. We're going to write the case up and send it to the district attorney for evaluation, and really that'll just be pending on where the liability is and working with the OMMA to decide what exactly is going to happen from here through the regulations and the criminal side.
In Miami, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Gene White at Underground Dispensary says in a statement that due to a system error at the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority, they were unable to get licenses. White says they are working through the licensing issues and plan to reopen as soon as they are resolved. Doug Hattie joining us now with firstly the forecast. Gorgeous evening with no rain. That's the key part.
Yeah, most of the rain has rolled out of the region, thankfully, after we've seen so many days of rain across the region. 85 today, 71 was our low, so just a little bit below where we should be for this time of the year. But any showers or thunderstorms have pretty much pushed off toward the south. There's still an isolated sprinkler or two, but that is really just about it. I think we look pretty good from this point on. We're sitting into the upper 70s right now, and as we go through the overnight hours, we'll drop back into the upper 60s. 83 tomorrow. Friday looks great, of course. We're going to look into the weekend here in just a bit.
Doug, thanks as always. The Vernon County Sheriff's Detective is being honored for saving the life of a suicidal person. Detective Brett Don received the office's Life-Saving Medal. Sheriff Mosher said Detective Don's quick response, recognition of the severity of the situation, and immediate action resulted in a life being saved. Mosher said, quote, "This was a situation that could have turned out much differently, but ended without any injuries. So we are proud to be able to recognize Detective Don for his actions, and we agree." Congratulations, sir. A new Missouri law aims to better protect survivors of domestic violence. It was signed by Governor Parson on Tuesday. The law extends orders of protection for up to a lifetime in extreme situations, includes pets and protection orders, and expands the definition of stalking to include technology like GPS devices and social media, as well as the use of third parties.
The comfort that this can provide is tremendous. Now, it is a piece of paper, but it does give our victims something further. It's not something that they have to continuously fight. It allows for hearings so that there can be a story told.
The law goes into effect August 28th. President Biden and the First Lady visited South Florida today, their trip coming just as search efforts were halted in Surfside. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera has more.
President Biden and the First Lady spent today comforting the grieving families here in Florida and pledging the federal government's help.
FEMA is going to provide temporary housing and other urgent needs for the survivors. State Department is expediting visas for family members from other countries.
The president is offering the federal government's full support for rescue efforts in South Florida. On Thursday, he met with state and local officials, saying he believes the government has the power to pick up 100% of the cost of search and cleanup.
The simple act of everybody doing whatever needs to be done and it really makes a difference.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis thanked the Biden administration for its support.
What we just need now is we need a little bit of luck, need a little bit of prayers.
The president later meeting privately with grieving families of the victims and with first responders.
What you're doing here is incredible.
The president's visit came after search efforts were stopped due to concerns over the remaining structure stability. Officials say early Thursday morning, crews noticed expansions in cracks and more movement in a large column hanging from the structure.
Our primary focus, obviously is rescuing our victims as well as protecting, our fire personnel that are life-saving as well.
Today, officials confirmed that shortly after the collapse, crews heard a female voice in the rubble, but efforts to rescue her were unsuccessful. In Surfside, Florida, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
A years-long tax fraud investigation into former President Trump's organization led to the indictment of a longtime top executive. Alan Weisselberg appeared in a Manhattan courtroom for arraignment on multiple charges, hours after he surrendered to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Fox News senior correspondent Eric Shawn has more from New York.
The first criminal charges in the investigation into the Trump organization have been unsealed, charging Chief Financial Officer Alan Weisselberg with grand larceny, scheme to defraud, tax fraud, and other charges. To all counts, he pled not guilty. Weisselberg is a 48-year employee of the Trump organization. He was handcuffed as he walked into court to face justice.
How you feeling?
The indictment stems from a 2-year-long tax fraud investigation by the Manhattan District Attorney and New York State Attorney General, investigating if the company evaded taxes by giving top officials fringe benefits like the use of fancy apartments, cars, and school tuition as a way to secretly pay them off the books.
This case is unprecedented. When you look at the charges, it is a corporate apartment, it is a corporate car, it is in one case the payment of his grandchildren's tuition, which every expert on the planet will tell you is a gift.
Former President Trump's personal lawyer responded to the indictment in a statement saying, quote, "The district attorney is supposed to be apolitical, but everyone knows that the only reason they are proceeding with this case is because it is Trump." Backing up what the former president said earlier this week.
New York radical left prosecutors come after me. You got to always fight. You got to keep fighting. It's a disgusting thing.
Weisselberg's ex-daughter-in-law has been cooperating with the probe.
The taxes are, I think, step one, but that's just the beginning.
Prosecutors say the tax fraud scheme lasted for 15 years. As of now, though, there's no indication it will touch former President Trump. In New York, Eric Shawn, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time now to honor another four-state hero. Lonnie Matthews served in the U.S. Army stationed in Vietnam. He earned the Vietnam Service Medal, Army Commendation Medal, and Overseas Bar. We are proud to thank and salute Lonnie Matthews, native of Neosho, Missouri, tonight's four-state hero. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast. A bit later, Pittsburgh Special Olympics athlete Bryce Commons finding a new way to connect with the local community. Going to have the story in sports.
Well, of course, we have more showers, more thunderstorms for us today. Scattered about, not quite as much, well, I guess widespread is what we did have during the daytime hours yesterday, but most of this is winding down, and we're going to get a break in the action, which we need. We've had so much rain throughout the week. Look at the random showers kind of sinking out of here over the past couple hours. So really from this point on, I think we look pretty good. There's a couple isolated little sprinkles, and that is just about it. But we've had so much rain from this system. But most of the rain now through Oklahoma, Arkansas, and then down through parts of Mississippi, Alabama, and also Tennessee. and we have at least drier air, which is going to work in over the next few days. But look at all the rain. This is since Saturday. Anywhere you see kind of the reddish magenta colors, we're approaching 10 inches of rain. So we've had a lot of rain. That's why we had the flash flooding issues throughout the week. Great time lapse, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. And currently we are mainly into the upper 70s. I think we'll drop back upper 60s a little bit later on tonight. So a little bit cooler than what we've seen over the past couple nights, but still humid. Dew points still sitting into lower 70s. That kind of puts us on that muggy to soupy range on our dew point tracker. But the winds out of the north now, behind a very weak little cold front that rolled through. So this is going to help us out. Next couple days, humidity is going to be a little bit lower. Our temperatures are going to be very comfortable. Looks great right now. We're looking at 7th and range line. And of course, as we go through the overnight hours, we'll have partly cloudy skies. Let's go through time during the overnight hours for us tonight into the morning hours. Partly to mostly clear skies. I think we'll have plenty of sunshine for us tomorrow. Temperatures look great, as we should go into the lower 80s. So pretty good way to kick off the holiday weekend. 67 to start, 78 by noon, high temp right around 83. Tomorrow night also looks fine. A little bit cooler. We're going to drop back into lower 60s. Partly sunny skies by the time we head into Saturday. So the beginning of the holiday weekend also looks pretty good. High temps mainly into the mid 80s. Let's jump into the 4th. Upper 80s, so a little bit hotter, but it's not going to be hot. I think any thunderstorms mainly stay out to our west. Monday looks good, upper 80s as well. Then we'll start to see some changes, some rain chances. We'll start to sneak in late Tuesday into Wednesday of next week with our next storm system. But until then, we get to dry out a bit, which is going to be fairly nice, something we haven't been able to do in a while. 83 tomorrow, 85 on Saturday, 87 on Sunday, 88 on Monday, back to 90 on Tuesday and Wednesday with a few chances for rain. And of course, in the second half hour, we'll take a look at the month-long forecast.
Again, so nice to be able to see a gorgeous sunset again without any
looks
rain.
good. I know.
It does. Doug Heddy, thank you. Coming up, investigating what happened almost 6 months ago.
A former Republican leader now siding with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington with more on the House's push to investigate the Capitol riot.
A diet high in fatty fish could help people battling frequent and severe migraines. A National Institutes of Health study finds patients who consumed diets lower in vegetable oil and higher in fatty fish reported nearly 40% less migraine pain during the month. A new study from the Netherlands finds it's common for dogs and cats to catch COVID-19 from their owners. Researchers say people with COVID should avoid contact with pets just as they would with people. That's what researchers say. But experts also say it's unlikely pets play a role in spreading the virus, since to date no pet has transmitted COVID to a person. The number of women screening for breast and cervical cancer decreased significantly during the COVID-19 pandemic. CDC researchers found more than 80% declines for breast and cervical cancer screening during April 2020 compared with previous averages. There will be a congressional deep dive into the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, but so far Republican leaders say they oppose the committee. Speaker Pelosi has named one surprising member. Fox's Lauren Blanchard explains from D.C.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced Thursday those she has chosen for a select committee to look into the January 6th attack at the Capitol.
It's about protecting our country from the negative forces that provoked that attack on the Capitol.
Chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee, Mississippi Representative Benny Thompson, a Democrat, will chair the 13-member committee.
We'll do our job. We have to get to the bottom of finding out all the things that went wrong on January 6th.
Pelosi named 6 other Democrats and 1 Republican, Wyoming Representative Liz Cheney. Cheney was removed from her GOP leadership position by fellow Republicans for being outspoken against former President Trump following the riot. In a statement, she said she was honored.
It'll be thorough, it'll be professional, it'll be serious, and not partisan.
Republicans have been largely opposed to an additional panel, blocking a 9/11-style commission, saying the case is better left to the FBI. It's unclear if Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy will name the other 5 Republicans he wants to serve on the panel, or if he'll remove Cheney from her other committee assignments as punishment for accepting Pelosi's offer.
I'm not threatening anybody with committee assignments. What I'm saying is, it was shocking to me that if a person is a Republican, they get their committee assignments from the Republican conference.
There is no deadline for the committee to announce its findings, so the issue could be dragged into next year during the midterm elections. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Next, some sexual assault survivors speak about their worry.
Advocates for assault survivors responding to the news of Bill Cosby's early release from prison. I'm Brian Yennis in New York. More on that story coming up.
Wisconsin judge today granted a conditional release from a mental hospital for one of the 2 people convicted in what's known as the Slender Man stabbing that happened back in 2014. Authorities say Anissa Weir and Morgan Geyser, who were 12 years old at the time, stabbed 12-year-old Peyton Leutner, allegedly to please the fictional character Slender Man. In a letter to the court, the now 19-year-old Weir said she's sorry and regrets the pain she caused. The judge agreed and has given state officials 60 days to set up a conditional release plan. Bill Cosby, a newly released man from Pennsylvania prison, headed out to visit his wife today out of state. She and others have expressed gratitude for his overturned conviction, but advocates say it sends the wrong message to sexual assault survivors. Fox News correspondent Brian Yennis has this story.
Bill Cosby reunited with his wife Camille Thursday for the first time since his release from prison after serving 3 years on sexual assault charges. Cosby's overturned conviction happening because of a deal prosecutors made with him in 2005. In exchange for his cooperation in a civil case, they agreed that he would not be charged criminally. But incriminating testimony from Cosby at that civil trial, where he admitted to drugging women and having sex with them, was then used against him in criminal court. That broken promise making the 83-year-old actor and comedian a free man. The former DA who made that deal reacting to the news.
I go back to 2005. I don't have enough evidence to arrest. I can sit there, do nothing, and hope the case gets better, like get a confession, or I can try to find another way, another solution. And I chose to find another way because I didn't think he was going to confess.
His TV wife on The Cosby Show, Felicia Rashad, tweeted her support, saying, "Finally, a terrible wrong is being righted. A miscarriage of justice is corrected." She later expressed support for victims, but advocates for sexual assault survivors say her tweet sends the wrong message and could discourage others from speaking up.
Those are the comments that are going to make survivors say, I don't even want to be a part of that. I don't want to deal with it. People aren't going to believe me.
In a statement, Cosby says that his story has not changed and he maintains his innocence. The court's decision also means that prosecutors cannot retry him on the same charges in the future. In New York, Brian Yennis, Fox News.
Count up the original source code for the WWW World Wide Web is sold at an auction. Gonna tell you for how much. I'm not too tech savvy, but nonetheless, this story is pretty cool. The inventor of the World Wide Web has sold the original code at auction for $5.4 million. Tim Berners-Lee auctioned the source code as an NFT or non-fungible token through Sotheby's. I have no idea what that means. The opening bid in the week-long online auction was $1,000. Files contain the basis of the languages and protocols underpinning the internet as we know it, including HTTP and HTML. They were sold with an animated visualization of the code and a digital poster that is signed by Berners-Lee with a graphic signature. We were just talking during the commercial. It's funny. I remember dial-up. I don't know about you. But yeah, dial-up. And it's funny how things go. Internet is essential now. And it is essential to education, to work. It's funny how technology goes. Life changes, right? 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. Going to get some important safety reminders for being on the lake after heavy rains, especially during this upcoming busy holiday weekend.
The NCAA with an about face, allowing for athletes to profit off their likeness. I'm Matt Napolitano, and I'll have the details straight ahead.
AAA says the average price of gasoline in Missouri on Independence Day set to be the highest since 2014. The statewide average of a gallon of regular gas is $2.81. That's 93 cents more per gallon than this time last year. In Joplin, the average is around $2.74 a gallon. When compared to the entire nation, though, Missouri has the fourth lowest gas prices. City of Joplin announced its 4th of July celebration plans. This year, the city will only be doing a fireworks show. That show is going to take place on the eastern side of Missouri's southern campus at 9:45 p.m. Residents can come to the show in their cars, drive-in theater style.
Tune in to a radio station and listen to the music and watch the show at the same time. I know that we're asking people to stay near their cars, socially distanced during the event, but moreover, just go out there and have a great time on the 4th of July.
I'm going to say this again because it's important. MSSU is offering a curated music experience for people to listen to in their car during the show. To listen to that, just tune your radio to the college's radio station, KXMS at 88.7 FM. Grand River Dam Authority is giving some tips to stay safe on the lake after the recent heavy rains. First, watch out for floating debris. Heavy rains can carry driftwood and other debris into the water. If you're boating, watch your wake. The higher lake levels can lead to higher wakes, which can be damaging, of course. And stay away from floodgates and spillways, as they could be open to maintain lake levels.
Certainly be mindful of people in the water. Pay attention to the no wake zones. Obey the no wake zones when you see them idle through those areas. There'll be a lot of people maybe floating on a mat or just kind of out floating with their life jacket on, hanging out in the water.
Of course, you should always wear a life jacket when out in the water and check weather conditions as well before you head on out. On the last day of its term, the U.S. Supreme Court upheld two hotly contested voting laws in Arizona. One throws out ballots cast in the wrong precinct. The other restricts who can deliver absentee ballots. Democratic Party officials had argued the measures disproportionately affect communities of color. The court's conservative majority ruled the measures were modest burdens that didn't violate the Federal Voting Rights Act. The State Department is making major changes to the passports. Non-binary, intersex and gender non-conforming individuals will now be able to choose a gender option other than male or female on their American passport. The department will work closely with government agencies and organizations to ensure that passengers have a smooth travel experience following the change. A number of nations, including India, Australia, and Canada, have already made a similar change to their passports. College athletes can now capitalize on their names, images, and likenesses thanks to some temporary guidelines from the NCAA. Fox's Matt Napolitano explains.
With at least 12 states having measures in place that let student athletes immediately profit from their name, image, and likeness, or NIL, the NCAA announced its own temporary policy that allows athletes in all sports at all three division levels to start profiting from things like endorsement deals and appearance fees. The policy includes allowing students to benefit from NIL consistent with state laws and allowing students in states without laws to also benefit without being in violation of NCAA rules. The announcement came just over a week after a unanimous Supreme Court ruling that the NCAA had violated antitrust law by restricting education-based benefits to only scholarships that cover the cost of attending a school and not allowing schools to give student athletes other benefits like computers and paid internships. In a statement, NCAA President Mark Emmert made clear that the new name, image, and likeness policy is temporary and that the organization is still working with Congress on legislation for a permanent policy. Senate Commerce Committee Chair Maria Cantwell of Washington applauding the measures, but saying in a statement that the, quote, interim action is no substitute for a national standard that also includes healthcare, safety, scholarship, and transfer protections. These temporary NCAA guidelines allow some 460,000 student athletes to capitalize on their NIL rights. In New York, Matt Napolitano, Fox News.
A little later, the struggles facing veterans transitioning back into the civilian workforce.
Jobs are opening back up as the country opens back up, but landing one can be a challenge for those who have built a career serving their country. I'm Michael George with the challenges veterans face finding a new career.
Well, of course, we've had a lot of rain over the past several days, and it looks like finally we're going to get a little bit of a break, which is always nice as We need to dry out after several inches of rain across the region. Right now, most of the rain is pushed off toward our south. There's still an isolated little shower or two, but most of us are dry. Most of us are going to stay dry as we go through the overnight hours tonight, looking much better than what it has. Most of the rain now, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and then stretching off toward the east into parts of Mississippi. But look at all the rain since Saturday, where you get the reds, the kind of pinkish, purple colors. We're talking 7 to about 12 inches of rain, but everybody across the entire viewing area, at least, or even our lowest amounts, picked up about 5 inches of rain. Looking pretty good. Nice time lapse. Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri, where our temps are sitting mainly into the upper 70s. I think we'll drop back into the upper 60s later on tonight, but our dew points are still high. We're still sitting with the humidity kind of in that muggy to soupy range, which humidity will drop a little bit over the next couple days, but of course it's still summer, so it's going to be humid. But this is due to a cold front that shifted through. So now we have northerly winds that allows us to cool off a little bit and also more comfortable temperatures the next few days. Looks good up top, 7th and range line currently outside, 78. Feels like 80. Relative humidity is at 79%. As we go through the overnight hours tonight, I think we'll see pretty much clear skies across the region. It looks pretty good, especially late tonight. And then we'll have partly sunny skies for us tomorrow. Most of us will be dry. There could be an isolated shower in our far southern counties, but looks like a pretty good Friday. We're going to start the day at 67, 78 by noon. Very comfortable, 83 during the afternoon. Tomorrow night, cooler. We drop back into lower 60s for overnight lows. So it's going to feel great tomorrow night. And then a few clouds on Saturday, but high temps pop back into the mid 80s. So Saturday looks good. Even the 4th of July is shaping up pretty good. I think a little bit warmer, upper 80s, but any rain stays mainly to our west. I think Monday looks pretty good. Then we'll start to see chances for showers and thunderstorms increasing again by the time we head into the middle part of next week. We're going to warm back up and rain chances late Tuesday, Wednesday, and also into Thursday of next week. But at least we get that break, which is well deserved. All right, 83 tomorrow, 85 Saturday, 87 on the 4th of July. We do creep back up near 90 by Tuesday and Wednesday with those chances for showers and thunderstorms across the region. So if we look at the month long, we're really nearing the end of this pattern. We're in the 7th cycle. The new pattern is only about 2 months away. Hot, humid month. We are going to still have a lot of scattered thunderstorms, mainly 80s and 90s though, so very similar to what we have seen over the past couple weeks. So recapping next week, just those rain chances Tuesday and Wednesday. If I put warm, I'm thinking 80s. If I put hot, 90s or triple digits. But I think we'll mainly stay in the 90s. Look at the next week. So this is July 11th through 17th. We have those rain chances every day, but very similar to the week we're in now. Maybe not as much rain, but 80s for highs, but we're going to have those scattered showers and thunderstorms each and every day. The following week, the 18th through the 24th, we heat back up. So 90s. Also, we're still going to have those scattered showers and thunderstorms. And then we wrap up the last week of July dry and hot every day. So 90s and triple digit readings for that last week. So we kind of creep up, get a little bit hotter each and every week and a little bit drier each and every week.
Not looking forward to those triple digits. But again, as you would say, it's that time of year.
Yeah, most of our heat's going to be in the 90s. So that's good.
Yeah, it is good news. All right, Doug, thanks so much as always. Coming up in sports, Pittsburgh Special Olympics athlete has a sweet new gig. Also, the Joplin Outlaws returning home for the first time in 10 days. Jacob Leonard has the highlights next.
The Joplin Outlaws are back home tonight for the first time in 10 days. And Joplin welcomes in the Sedalia Bombers to Joe Becker Stadium this evening, aiming to claim sole possession of first place in the Mink League South Division. Now the Outlaws, 9-8 coming into the night. Sedalia is 10-9. Christian DeJesus, pretty good on the mound tonight for Joplin. Strikeout there, then in the third, gets out of a bases-loaded jam with another swing and a miss. He goes 5 1/3, picks up 10 strikeouts. Now, bottom of the third, man on second, Jeb Jenkins finds the gap in right center. Brings home Cam Paffman. Jenkins, though, slips off second base. He will be tagged out. At that point, it's 1-1. This one's still going. Joplin is taking a 4-2 lead in the bottom of the 8th. In the major leagues, Royals try to avoid the sweep against the Red Sox today. Didn't really go their way. Kike Hernandez, leadoff homer for Boston, his 9th. Then in the 4th, J.D. Martinez will do the same thing. Solo shot, his 17th, makes it 2-0. Boston really just hammered away all day. Danny Santana still in the 4th. 3-run jack here. Red Sox collect 17 hits on the afternoon. Royals lose it and get swept in the 4-game series 15-1. The St. Louis Cardinals, fresh off a sweep over Arizona on the road, kicking off a series against the Rockies tonight. That one is in the bottom of the 3rd, tied 2-2. Paul Goldschmidt is 2 for 2 with a home run for the Cards. Well, Pittsburgh Special Olympics athlete Bryce Commons has found a new way to connect with the community after a break in competition. Our very own Danny Terzer catches up with Commons to talk about his new adventure.
Yeah, here it is. Cup or cone?
2 cups. Special Olympics athlete Bryce Commons has found a new sense of joy after a hard year.
We bought it mostly for Bryce. One, to reconnect with the community.
Here you go.
And give him purpose. You know, he went from school where he was very active, and then even after school with Special Olympics, to doing nothing.
The Commons are the new owners of the Pittsburgh Jolly Trolley.
2020 was a really rough year with COVID and everything, but it was especially rough on kids with special needs. And he was having an especially hard day that day, and I went home and I said, well, guess what? And he's like, what? I said, we're going to buy the Jolly Trolley. And he just lit up. The day we brought it home, he was ecstatic.
Bryce and his family took over the business at the end of May, hoping to bring the tradition of the Jolly Trolley back to the city of Pittsburgh.
There you go. You're welcome. We're selling snow cones from the Jolly Trolley at the ballpark, and the birthday parties, and even the school.
That's where the nostalgia comes in with, everybody going, oh my gosh, the Jolly Trolley's back. This is awesome. From adults to telling their children, this is what I had growing up.
Bryce adds a new personal touch to this old Pittsburgh icon.
The main personal spin is the snow cones and selfies with Bryce. And then, of course, it ends up on either his Facebook page or the Pittsburgh Jolly Trolley Facebook page and Instagram. He does bring joy to a lot of people.
Bryce plans to get back to the Special Olympics.
We have to get him back out there and smiling again, and then he'll want to be active and stuff like that.
But in the meantime, he has a pretty cool new gig. In Pittsburgh, Danny Terzer, KOAM Sports.
Commons and his mother will have the trolley set up at Lincoln Park on July 4th. You can check out their Facebook page to keep up with their full schedule. And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after the break.
364,000 people filed for new unemployment benefits last week. That's according to the Labor Department. It's down from the prior week and better than expected. It also marks a new pandemic-era low. And tomorrow, we're going to get the all-important monthly jobs report. Veterans transitioning out of military service and into the civilian workforce often face an uphill battle, translating their service and skill for corporate America. Reporter Michael George shows us what veterans are up against and the organization arming them for the fight.
28-year-old Miles Kaufman is an MBA candidate at Southern Methodist University. On his resume, 3 tours in Afghanistan with the 75th Ranger Regiment.
We were there in 2017, 2019, and my final deployment was in 2020 during the COVID epidemic, actually.
He's one of many veterans transitioning off of the battlefield and into the civilian job market.
I think it's difficult as a veteran to translate all the applicable skills that we do have into terms that are easily understood by some of these hiring managers.
Finding a career is even more difficult in the uncertain post-lockdown economy. So Kaufman enlisted the help of American Corporate Partners, a national nonprofit organization that pairs veterans with corporate mentoring, networking, and career advice. Mentors from more than 100 companies have helped more than 20,000 vets so far.
With your help, I've landed a job as a software engineer at Microsoft. How crazy is that?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is not goodbye. This is on to the next journey.
ACP founder Sid Goodfriend says the average age of vets they help is 38, and they're not looking for entry-level jobs.
How significant is having a career for a veteran coming back home?
Having a career is everything.
Goodfriend says returning service members without college degrees face an even bigger challenge.
You can't even get an interview in most companies without a 4-year degree. It would be wonderful if companies would consider military experience, in some cases, if the skills are there, in lieu of a 4-year degree.
Kaufman advises fellow vets to take advantage of resources like ACP as they embark on their new mission.
As the U.S. drawdown in Afghanistan continues, ACP says it expects overall 200,000 veterans are going to transition out of the military over the next 12 months. The organization also provides the same services to active duty spouses who often have the same added difficulty of moving frequently. Next, going to check out a new movie, a prequel to The Sopranos. Hollywood Nation coming your way. A rock legend heads to Vegas, and another celebrity biopic is in the works. Fox's Steve Rappaport has the latest in the Hollywood Nation.
Scott Weiland's life story heads to the big screen, the Red Rocker makes an announcement, and a young Tony Soprano makes his debut in the Hollywood Nation.
Antonio Soprano.
Fans of The Sopranos have something to look forward to this fall. Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema released the trailer to The Many Saints of Newark, a prequel movie to the iconic HBO series. Michael Gandolfini, son of the late James Gandolfini, steps into the role of young Tony Soprano. The film arrives in theaters and HBO Max October 1st. Sammy Hagar is the latest celebrity to set up shop in Sin City. The 73-year-old musician and his band The Circle will rock out at the Strat Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas for the new residency Sammy Hagar and Friends. The concert series kicks off just in time for Halloween weekend on October 29th. And the life of the late Stone Temple Pilots singer Scott Weiland will get the spotlight in a new movie. According to The Hollywood Reporter, a biopic titled Paper Heart is currently in development and will be based on Weiland's 2011 memoir, Dead and Not for Sale. It will also include previously unreleased music from the legendary frontman. Weiland was 48 years old when he died of an accidental overdose in December 2015. In Hollywood, Steve Rappaport, Fox News.
So there you go. You're all caught up. That's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of a panda cub playing with a basket. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.